I'm Ashley Bennett, 30 years old, and I walked into my parents' Christmas party in suburban Akron, Ohio, thinking this year would be different. I brought gifts worth $3,000, hoping to bridge the gap after they excluded me last year. The second I stepped through the door, my brother stared me down. "You shouldn't have come," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. My dad chuckled from across the room. "No one even remembered you last year." My mom stayed silent, her back turned arranging food. Their words hit like a punch, but I didn't flinch. I forced a smile, set the gifts down, and walked out without a word. 30 minutes after I left, my phone began to ring nonstop. One call confirmed that everything I had been preparing for so long was finally complete. The next call told me that certain doors had closed and would never open again. If you were in my shoes, treated like a stranger in the middle of your own family, would you walk away in silence or make sure they'd never forget you? Leave a comment. I want to know what you would do. A few weeks before the Christmas party, I sat in my apartment wrapping gifts and trying to convince myself it would be different. Last year's holiday still haunted me. I wasn't invited, not really. Just a forwarded email blast sent to half the relatives, no personal note, no call. I kept refreshing my inbox, hoping for a direct message, something that said I was part of the family. Nothing came. My brother posted photos online, everyone laughing, opening presents, toasting with wine, while I sat alone scrolling through their joy like an outsider. I told myself it was a mistake, but I knew better. For 2 years, I'd been paying the mortgage on my parents' house, $1,500 a month, wired straight from my account as a project manager. I never missed a payment, even when work meant late nights and no weekends. I also covered my sister's college tuition, $18,000 a year, because she dreamed of becoming a nurse. It wasn't just money, it was my way of holding the family together. But no one thanked me. My dad would dodge the topic, muttering about the weather or the news. My mom acted like it was my duty, like I owed them for existing. My brother smirked, saying I was lucky to have a good job, as if his failed sales schemes were my fault. I stayed quiet, hoping my support would earn their respect. It didn't. Last Christmas, I called my mom to ask about the party. "It's just a small thing," she said. Her voice flat, then hung up. I spent the night staring at their photos online, feeling invisible. I'd call my sister sometimes, asking about her classes, hoping she'd mention the tuition. She never did. I don't think she knew. My parents let her believe they were paying, taking credit for my sacrifices. It hurt, but I kept sending the checks, thinking one day they'd see me. This year, I decided to try again. I spent weeks picking out gifts, $3,000 worth, each one chosen with care. A leather-bound journal for my sister, embossed with her initials because she loved writing. A vintage watch for my dad, the kind he used to admire in catalogs. A silk scarf for my mom in her favorite shade of blue. Even a sleek pen set for my brother, hoping it might spark something in him. I thought these gifts could be a bridge, a way to show I still cared. I spent hours wrapping them, tying ribbons, writing cards. I told myself this Christmas would be different, that they'd finally see my effort. I called my sister a few weeks before to confirm the date. She sounded distracted, busy with finals, but didn't mention the tuition. I didn't bring it up. I emailed my mom to ask if I could bring anything. No reply. My brother texted once, asking if I was actually showing up, with a laughing emoji. I ignored the jab and kept planning. The night before the party, I sat in my apartment looking at the gift bags lined up by the door. I practiced what I'd say, how I'd smile, how I'd stay calm no matter what. I wanted to walk in and feel like I belonged. That morning, I drove to their Akron house, arriving early. I sat in the car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, telling myself I could do this. I carried the gift bags to the door, took a deep breath, and walked in, hoping for a welcome that never came. I stood in my parents' living room, clutching the gift bags, the chatter of neighbors and church friends buzzing around me. My brother Kyle leaned against the wall, a smirk on his face. "So you actually showed up?" he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Thought you'd be too busy playing the big shot. The room went quiet, eyes darting to me. My dad, sitting on the couch, let out a sharp laugh. Yeah, what's the point? You're never really here anyway. Guests shifted awkwardly, their whispers like needles in my skin. My mom stayed at the dessert table, rearranging cookies, not even glancing my way. I wanted to scream to tell them I'd paid their bills for years, but I didn't. I set the gifts down, forced a smile, and walked out, my footsteps loud against the hardwood. In my car, I didn't cry. I called my lawyer. Finalize the house transfer, I said. I'd been paying the mortgage $1,500 a month for years, so the title was mine. The paperwork had been ready for weeks. I'd just been waiting for a reason not to use it. Then I called the bank. Remove their access to the shared account. That account, funded by me for family expenses, was done. By that evening, my lawyer texted house transfer complete. The bank followed, access revoked. I felt a rush, not anger, but clarity. My phone started buzzing as I drove home. The family group chat was on fire. Kyle sent a string of texts. You think you can ruin our Christmas? You're pathetic. My dad wrote, this is your fault for making a scene. You're no daughter of mine. My mom sent one word, selfish. Their words didn't sting anymore. They just confirmed what I already knew. They didn't mention the years I'd paid their mortgage, utilities, even Kyle's car payments. They acted like I'd betrayed them, not the other way around. The next morning, my sister Nicole called, her voice trembling. My tuition payment didn't go through, she said. The school sent a notice. What's happening? I took a deep breath. Nicole, I've been paying your tuition $18,000 a year, not them. There was a long silence. They said they were covering it, she whispered, her voice breaking. I could hear the shock, the first crack in the lie they'd fed her. Check your email, I said. I'd sent her bank statements, every tuition payment, every mortgage transfer, all from my account. I've been keeping this family afloat. They've been lying to you. Nicole didn't say much after that. Just a quiet, I didn't know. I could tell she was reeling. Take your time, I told her. But you deserve the truth. I hung up, my heart steady but heavy. The group chat kept going. Kyle sent a voice message. You're turning Nicole against us. You'll pay for this. My dad typed another lecture about loyalty. My mom stayed silent after her one-word text. They thought they could guilt me into backing down like always. But I'd spent years funding their lives, $2,000 a month for the house and extras on top of Nicole's tuition. I'd done it quietly, hoping for a shred of gratitude. Instead, they mocked me in front of everyone. A few days after the Christmas party, my phone buzzed with a text from my mom. We need to talk. Come to the house tomorrow. No apology, no warmth, just a demand. I almost ignored it, but something told me to go. My sister Nicole had been quiet since our call, and I wondered if she'd be there. I drove to the Akron house the next evening, bracing myself for whatever they had planned. My dad opened the door, his face softer than usual. Good to see you, he said, like nothing had happened. My mom sat at the dining table, her hands folded, offering a tight smile. My brother Kyle was there too, leaning back in a chair, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. The air felt staged, like they'd rehearsed this. We're sorry about the party. My mom said, her voice rehearsed. Things got out of hand. We didn't mean to upset you. My dad nodded, adding, we're family. We need to stick together. I waited for the catch because there always was one. Kyle leaned forward, his tone suddenly warm. I've got this business idea, he said. A small startup selling custom furniture online. It's a sure thing, but I need a little help to get it off the ground. He slid a folder across the table filled with glossy charts and numbers. If you invest, it'll bring us closer. Show we're all in this together. My dad chimed in. It's a way to fix things, Ashley. You've always been good with money. My mom's smile tightened, but she didn't speak. I flipped through the folder, my gut telling me this wasn't about family. I'd seen Kyle's sure things before. Failed car deals, shady crypto schemes, always ending with him asking me for cash. I took the folder home and called a friend who's a financial advisor. "Can you look into this?" I asked. 2 days later, he called back. "The numbers don't add up," he said. "The project's a front. Kyle's got a debt $50,000 to some shady lender. He's trying to use your money to cover it." I felt my blood run cold. This wasn't a business plan. It was a scam to bail him out. I dug deeper, checking old bank statements. Sure enough, Kyle had been siphoning money from the shared account for months, small transfers I hadn't noticed, all leading to this debt. I went back to the house the next day, folder in hand. "I'm not investing," I said, dropping it on the table. Kyle's face went red. "What? You're just gonna walk away?" My dad stood up. "This is your chance to make things right, Ashley. Don't be selfish." My mom finally spoke. "You owe us this after everything." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Owe you? I paid your mortgage $1,500 a month for years. I paid Nicole's tuition $18,000 a year. And you try to scam me with this?" I pointed at the folder. "Kyle's in debt for $50,000 and you thought I'd be dumb enough to cover it." Kyle lunged forward. "You're lying. You're just trying to tear us apart." But my dad's face gave it away. He looked away, guilty. My mom's hands shook, but she stayed silent. I turned to leave. Done with their act. As I reached the door, Nicole's voice stopped me. "Wait," she said. She'd been sitting in the corner quiet until now. "Is it true?" "About the tuition?" I nodded. "I sent you the statements. Every payment came from me." Her eyes flicked to our parents, then Kyle. "You told me you were paying," she said, her voice low but steady. Kyle snapped, "She's lying, Nicole." But she didn't look at him. She looked at me, and I saw something shift in her eyes. Doubt, anger, maybe betrayal. Later that night, Nicole called. "I checked the statements," she said. "You were telling the truth. They lied to me. About everything." Her voice cracked, but she kept going. "Kyle's been bragging about this business deal for weeks, saying it'd fix everything. I didn't know about the debt." I could hear her pacing, the weight of it hitting her. "I thought they cared about us, but they just used you." I let her talk. Let her process the lie our family had built. "What now?" she asked. I didn't have all the answers, but I said, "We figure it out together. Just you and me." She went quiet, then said, "Okay." I hung up, staring at my phone. Nicole's shift felt like a crack in the wall our family had built around us. They'd tried to pull me back with fake apologies and a scam, thinking I'd cave like always. But I was done. I'd given them years, money, time, hope, and they'd thrown it back in my face. Now, with Nicole starting to see the truth, I felt something new. Not just freedom, but a spark of hope that maybe I wasn't as alone as I thought. A few weeks after the family meeting, whispers started reaching me through mutual friends. My parents and my brother Kyle were telling everyone I'd stolen their house and abandoned the family. They painted me as the villain, saying I'd cut them off without warning, leaving them struggling. Neighbors, church friends, even distant cousins were hearing it, how I'd turned my back on my own blood. I wasn't surprised, but it still burned. They'd lied about me before, but this was different. This was a campaign to ruin my name. I was at my apartment trying to focus on work when my cousin Jake called. "You need to hear this," he said, his voice low. He'd been at a family barbecue I wasn't invited to and overheard my dad talking. "They're saying you took everything he told me. But I found something you should see." Jake emailed me a folder, screenshots of emails, and a scanned contract. The emails were between Kyle and a shady lender discussing a loan of $50,000. The contract had my name on it. My signature forged, tied to a loan I'd never seen. Jake had gotten it from a friend who worked at the lender's office. "Kyle used your name to borrow money," Jake said. "I thought you should know." I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking. Kyle hadn't just tried to scam me with his fake business plan, he'd been using my identity to dig himself out of debt. The emails showed he'd been planning it for months, even before the Christmas party. I felt sick not just at him, but at my parents. They had to know. They'd pushed his business idea, guilt-tripped me into considering it. This wasn't just Kyle's mess, it was theirs too. I didn't confront them right away. I needed to be smart. I called my lawyer, sent her the folder, and asked what I could do. "This is fraud," she said. "We can report it, but you'll need to decide how public you want this." I thought about it for days. Part of me wanted to keep it quiet to avoid more drama. But they'd already dragged my name through the mud. I wasn't going to let them rewrite the story. I compiled the evidence emails, the forged contract, even bank statements showing my payments for their house and my sister's tuition. Then I sent it all in a group email to every family member and friend who'd heard their lies. I didn't write much, just, "This is the truth. Decide for yourself." The fallout was instant. My phone lit up with texts and calls from cousins, aunts, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Most were shocked, some apologetic for believing the rumors. My dad sent a single text, "You didn't have to do this." My mom called, her voice shaking with anger. "You're destroying us," she said, then hung up. Kyle didn't reach out, but I heard through Jake that he was panicking. The lender had seen my email and contacted the authorities, accusing Kyle of fraud. By the end of the week, he was under investigation, his name tied to a police report. The whispers in the community turned. Neighbors stopped inviting my parents to events. Church friends who'd once praised my mom's baking now avoided her. My dad's golf buddies started asking questions, and he had no answers. Their story was crumbling, and they knew it. They stopped spreading rumors, but the damage was done. They'd lost the trust of everyone who mattered to them. Nicole called me that weekend. I saw the email, she said, her voice steady but heavy. "I can't believe they let Kyle do that to you." I told her about the forged signature, how our parents had backed his lies. She went quiet for a moment, then said, "I'm done with them. I can't keep pretending they're good people." It wasn't just words, she meant it. She blocked their numbers, stopped answering their texts. "You're the only one who's been honest with me," she said. "I'm with you now." I felt a weight lift, but it wasn't joy. It was relief, mixed with grief. Nicole and I were building something new, but it came at the cost of the family I'd once fought to keep together. I'd spent years paying $1,500 a month for their house, $18,000 a year for Nicole's tuition, trying to prove I belonged. They'd taken it all, then tried to bury me with lies. Now, with Kyle facing a fraud investigation and my parents' reputation in tatters, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free, but it was a heavy kind of freedom. I looked at Nicole's text, "We'll figure this out together," and knew I wasn't alone anymore. That was enough for now. 3 months after the truth came out, I packed up my life in Akron and moved to Portland, Oregon. I'd always wanted to live somewhere green, somewhere new, where the air didn't carry the weight of old wounds. My sister Nicole came with me. She was still in college, working toward her nursing degree, and I wanted to make sure she could finish without worrying about money. I set up a direct fund for her tuition, $18,000 a year, same as before, but now it was just between us, no middleman, no lies. We rented a small apartment near the Willamette River with a view of the city lights that felt like a promise of something better. For the first time in years, I woke up without dreading a family text or call. Back in Akron, things fell apart for the others. My brother Kyle couldn't outrun the fraud investigation. The lender pressed charges after my email exposed his forged signature. By spring, he was slapped with a fine $10,000 and a year of probation. He tried to spin it, telling anyone who'd listen that he was the victim, but no one bought it anymore. My parents didn't fare much better. Without my payments of $1,500 a month, they couldn't keep up with the mortgage. The bank foreclosed on the house by early April. They moved into a cramped rental across town, their pride as broken as their reputation. I heard through a mutual friend that my dad stopped going to his golf club, and my mom's church group had all but iced her out. They didn't reach out to me, and I didn't expect them to. Nicole and I built a new routine in Portland. She'd study at the kitchen table, books spread out, while I worked remotely managing projects from a coffee shop with huge windows and the smell of fresh espresso. We'd talk over dinner, real talks about her classes, my work, or just dumb stuff like which food cart had the best tacos. She didn't mention our parents, or Kyle and I didn't push her to. She'd made her choice when she cut them off, and I respected it. Sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window, her face heavy with thoughts she didn't share. I knew she was grieving the family we'd both wanted but never had. I was too in my own way. Looking back, I realized how much I'd let slide for the sake of family. I'd poured years, money, time, heart into people who saw me as a means to an end. I paid their bills, kept their house funded, Nicole's dreams, all while they dismissed me, lied to me, used me. It wasn't just about the money, $1,500 a month for the house, $18,000 a year for Nicole's tuition. It was about the belief that if I gave enough, they'd value me. They didn't. They manipulated me, twisted the truth. And when I pushed back, they tried to bury me with rumors. But I learned something through it all. Family isn't a free pass to sacrifice your worth. You have to see manipulation for what it is, and draw a line no matter who's on the other side. I'm not saying it was easy. There were nights I second-guessed myself, wondered if I'd been too harsh. But every time I looked at Nicole working hard, building her own path, I knew I'd made the right call. We were free not just from their lies, but from the weight of trying to prove ourselves to people who'd never care. Portland gave us a fresh start, a chance to be more than our past. I started hiking on weekends, exploring trails in Forest Park, feeling the quiet of the trees wash away years of tension. Nicole joined me sometimes, and we'd laugh about how bad we were at navigation. It was small, but it was ours. If you're listening to this, I want to say thank you. Sharing this story hasn't been easy, but it's helped me let go. I hope it helps you too. Maybe you've got your own story, your own lines to draw. Drop a comment, tell me what you think. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who was supposed to love you? How did you find your strength? And if this resonated, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to know I'm not alone in this. For me, the lesson was clear. Family doesn't mean you owe anyone your worth. Recognize when you're being used, set your boundaries, and don't be afraid to choose yourself. I did, and I'm finally free.